Hello friends, my name is Carlos Mendiola and I will be your guide during this tour to the Berlin Wall. Actually there is not much to see, it's just a wall, but the interesting stuff is why this wall was constructed. So if we are interested in why this wall was constructed, we need to go back to the end of the World War II. And during this time, Germany was divided into two territories: the Federal Republic of Germany, that was the western part, and the Democratic Republic of Germany, that was the eastern part. So, the Western Germany was divided between the French, the British, and the American powers. And on the other hand, the Eastern Germany was in control of the Soviet Union. These two republics were meant to unite into a single Germany, but the differences between these both economic systems didn't allow this to happen. Then, when the people from the Eastern Germany realized that they were living under a socialist system, the people who didn't want to live in this country began to escape from the same. And for this situation, the Eastern Germany built a wall the 13th of August of 1961, which divided the two countries. In this way, the Eastern Germany maintained a control of the people who wanted to escape from there and increased the tension between the socialist bloc and the capitalist one. This is also, we need to add, the beginning of the Cold War that lasted from the end of the World War II in 1945 to the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, or to the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, as you prefer to see it. So, the most interesting part was not how it was built, but how it fell down. So, if we want to know about this story, we need to go back between the 1964 and 1982. During this time, the Soviet Union was governed by Leonid Brezhnev, an authoritarian leader that took his country to the cusp of the power and economic influence. Even still, in a quite ironic fashion, Brezhnev also was an indecisive leader and a megalomaniac that took his country to the brink of economic collapse. Leonid Brezhnev died in 1982 and was succeeded by Yuri Andropov. Advanced in age, Andropov, with fragile health, his government only prolonged the economic standstill that was headed toward decline. Andropov died in 1984 and was succeeded by Konstantin Cherenkov, a very similar politician who died just 1 year later. The authoritarian politics led the Soviet economic to an inevitable collapse because of the inequitable distribution of the goods and the decisions took by Leonid Brezhnev. So, after this happened, Mikhail Gorbachev was a reformist which stated in his politics in two ideas: the perestroika and glasnost. The perestroika proposed a change in the economic structure to increase the sale of products and in this way improve the economy, and glasnost was a proposal to create a free political system with openness and transparency. Even with the efforts of the reformists, the Soviet economic continued in decline, and some countries began to show their discontent with the situations. The first of them was Poland, which began a revolutionary movement in 1988 and culminated in 1989, when a call for elections was made in the country and the new government put end to the communist regime. This began what we call as the domino effect. Other countries such as Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, the Eastern Germany, and Romania were happening a violent transition between the authoritarian politics. I'm going to tell you this story. His governor, Nicolae Ceausescu, applied with these movements very authoritarian politics. And when he was executed by the people with his wife, the principal leader of the Soviet Union, were aware that the communist bloc was going to inevitably fall. So, the success of these movements allowed the East Germans to find new routes to escape to the West, and many people began to move from Hungary and Czechoslovakia to get into Germany. The government had to put order with this situation, But in the end, they had to accept this situation and not impose too many blocks for the people. On the 9th of November of 1989, the East German government announced that there will not be any problems for the citizens to travel from the east to the west. That same evening, the people, after gathering in mass, brought their tools to dismantle the Berlin Wall. In March of 1990, free elections were held in Eastern Europe for the first time since its inception. The old communist regime, the Social Democratic Party, lost the elections in a landslide, giving way to a new government headed by Lothar de Maizière, who immediately began discussions with Western Germany to begin a reunification process. This objective was consummated at midnight of the 3rd of October when the German Democratic Republic was legally and peacefully annexed to the Federal German Republic of the West. This event marked the beginning of a new era of European integration and cooperation. With the fall of the principal supporting governments of the Soviet Union, the crisis increased. In 1990, Estonia, Lithuania, and Lithuania declared their independence from the Soviet Union. Gorbachev applied desperate politics to deploy the military and more rigorous international policies to control the intern disputes. But Boris Yeltsin was the last president of the Unit Soviet Socialist Republic of Russia, which at that time was one of the political entities that took part in the Soviet Union, and he played a very important role in the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Using his influence, he orchestrated a series of political setbacks to diminish and virtually disappear whatever power Gorbachev had left. The most important of these movements was the founding and promotion of the Commonwealth of Independent States, a new political association that had as its principal means the gathering of the Republic nation that failed the Soviet Union in order to establish an economic alliance. On December 21st of 1991, the leaders of the Soviet Union declared the formation of the Commonwealth of Independent States and officially recognized the dissolution of the Soviet Union. As of then, Russia took the seats of the Soviet Union in the United Nations, and 14 new countries were formally born: Estonia, Lithuania, Moldavia, Ukraine, Belarus, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Similar cases occurred in other regions of the world, such as the dissolution of Yugoslavia and the fall of the communism in Mongolia, Ethiopia, and Yemen. The Cold War had reached its end. In general, the pressure of the differences between the capitalist bloc and the socialist bloc don't exist anymore, and every country works their own. I think personally that the people that wanted to continue with the socialist regime were very discontent with these new policies, but it's also true that the bad organization of this bloc caused the decline of the Soviet Union and his sudden dissolution. With the pressure of the United States and his great economy and the many social movements along the different countries that were part of this regime, and the only exit for the survival of the Soviet Union was the restructuration of the economic current, as it was poorly managed. Of course, this new way of thinking of the Soviet bloc caused joy in the countries, as there is going to be more difficult to have a poor manage of the goods in these countries, and they can contribute to the formation of an unipolarism. Also, in my personal opinion, Marx's ideas about the workers and how the owners of the private property treat their workers was very good. But a bad teaching of these values can make the governments to have a lot of wrong ideas of how to manage it, and it can be confused with a long dictatorships and a stop of the economy of a country. These ideas were not the invention of Karl Marx and were not the invention of Vladimir Ulyanov. They are the set of the means understanding and opportunities to fill with power and riches the expenses of the people, so that they adjust the ideas to their whims, leaving aside the original ideas and giving a back image of them. In this way, I can conclude that the system is correct and functional, but very susceptible to holes being found by which the governors can take advantage of the people. So, this is all for the fall of the Berlin Wall. Hope you enjoy the tour, and well, see you next time.